Welcome back to our first Fiction Kitchen episode of 2022. Fiction Kitchen will show you step by step how to recreate food and beverages from television, movies, books, and video games. For this episode, we'll be making our version of Super Bowl Sunday slow cooker chili inspired by Season 2, Episode 4 of This Is Us. This recipe is very simple and involves very little in-person cooking. However, you'll want to check that all appliances are working correctly before you begin. Our first step is to brown our meat and sweat the fresh vegetables. This recipe uses 1 pound of 85% lean beef and 1 pound 90% lean beef, 1 diced yellow onion, 1 diced red bell pepper, and 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. In a skillet pan, brown the meat with 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil on medium heat. Once brown, go ahead and strain the meat into a bowl and use the remaining fat to sweat the onions, pepper, and garlic. Then, remove the vegetables from heat once the onions become translucent. Before we add everything to our slow cooker, make sure you have all your other ingredients. This recipe is using 1 can of pinto beans, 1 can of red kidney beans, and 1 can of pinto beans with jalapenos. We will also be adding 2 cans of diced tomatoes with green chilies, 1 can of tomato sauce, and 3 ounces or half a small can of tomato paste. You will also need 1 cup of beef broth and at least 1 teaspoon of hot sauce for a little extra kick of spice. For the spices in the chili, you'll want to make sure you measure these out ahead of time. You will need 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of cayenne, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, and half a teaspoon of unsweetened cocoa powder. Once you have all your ingredients prepped, you'll want to plug in your slow cooker and turn it on to low heat. Now go ahead and add your browned beef to the pot, followed by the onions, garlic, and pepper. Drain all your beans and add them to the slow cooker. However, if you're like me and prefer your chili to be more soup-like, add the entire can and stir well. Now go ahead and add the 2 cans of diced tomatoes with green chilies. Stir that really well into your mix. Then pour in your 1 can of tomato sauce. Follow that up by adding your 1 cup of beef broth. Stir everything together really well. Now, carefully measure out your hot sauce. You can add a little for a small kick or add a lot if you want your 5 alarms. Then carefully add the tomato paste and stir well. If you find it difficult to mix the tomato paste, you can add it to the beef broth and stir those together before you add it to the pot. Finally, we'll add our spices to the chili. We will start off with half a teaspoon of salt, followed by a half a teaspoon of black pepper. Next, we'll add our cayenne, following that up with our ground cumin, our smoked paprika, the chili powder of our choice, brown sugar, and make sure that you break that up by hand as you add it so it's evenly distributed. And finally, our unsweetened cocoa powder. Once you have added all the ingredients and spices to the slow cooker's pot, Stir everything really well for about 1 minute to make sure everything has been incorporated. Then, cover with the slow cooker's lid and cook on low for 5 hours, and then 1 hour before serving, turn the temperature up to high. When you are ready to serve, turn the heat setting to low or warm and stir again. It's game time. Go ahead and ladle out your chili and have your friends and family top it off the way that they like. You can add tortilla strips, cheese, sour cream, onions, more hot sauce, or even corn chips are great. It's the perfect meal to enjoy with 12 to 15 guests at your next Super Bowl party. Thank you for watching this month's episode of Fiction Kitchen. We'll see you next time, makers!